The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead. We provide programs and services designed to assist and support the older town residents who wish to remain in their homes as they age. If we don't currently provide a service, we will try and connect you to that service. Call 311 or 869-6311 to get more information or receive services.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Welcome to Senior Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Peter Janowsky, sitting in for the regular host, John Ryan, who's not just the regular host, but also my very best friend. And I'd like to welcome the regular crew here who's going to help me out today with a very special guest. Our guest today is Assemblywoman Gina Sillitti, and I have the honor of, I think this might be her first public interview. Am I correct?
It is, and it is my very first interview as an elected official. So no pressure, Peter.
Oh, no. I love talking live on radio. My mom said I had a face for radio, but now we're on Zoom. So, anyway, it is an honor. It really is, because obviously I know you for a few years, and but you go way back in public service, and you have a wonderful resume. So rather than just starting off with some questions, why don't you take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself, give us a little background, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad that my first interview is with friends. So it, makes it easier. I may be, in public service for a while and, a politician, as they say, but, you get nervous. So this is good. I'm glad I'm, see your smiling faces with people I know. So, yeah, I have been, doing, working in government for a very long time. Just real quick, I started my government role at the Nassau County Legislature, working for a gentleman named Dave Mejias. He was the first Latino ever elected to county government. So it was a historic moment. And it was a different time, it was the early 2000s, a different time, even more so now with the pandemic, but I'm more so as, not to go into politics, but it was, it was a Republican district and we were Democrats, right? So he was elected, he worked very, very hard to get elected, but we stayed in office, and we stayed in office because we worked hard for the people that we served, right? So it wasn't about politics. It was about getting things done. Could you imagine now? I don't think that would ever fly, but then it did. People were like, all right, I like these folks. They helped me with this or they helped me with that. And, people would call our office, from everything to, pothole repairs to personal tragedies. Really quick story. I remember, this woman called. We eventually did lose our election, but I remember one woman called, one of the last phone calls we got in the office, and she was crying. I answered the phone. She was crying, and her husband had just died, and she didn't know what to do. She didn't know, how she was going to, take care of the funeral expenses. And of course, anybody who's lost a loved one knows it's out of control expensive. And she remembered calling our office several years ago, and we had helped her out with something. I honestly don't remember what it was. It doesn't matter. She just remembered that it was, we helped her and that we were kind. And so she called us back and, asking us to help her in this most, horrible point in her life. And, after just talking with her, I learned that her husband was a veteran, and that if you're a veteran, your country takes care of it. And that takes care of the funeral costs. And I remember that because when my father was a Marine, and when he passed away, I remember them taking care of everything, and it was, beautiful ceremony in Calverton. And so we talked to her, and, she was so she didn't even think about it. She was just so overwhelmed about what had just happened, and she thought to call us. And so, that really sort of set the stage of, what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and that was help people. So like I said, we eventually did lose, it couldn't last forever, right? So then I went over to the town of North Hempstead, which, people ask me, what was your favorite job? Now I'm new here. This could be my favorite job, but I'm still new. Come back to me in a year. But my favorite job was when I worked at the Department of Community Services at the town of North Hempstead. Now, I know that, our audience may, skew a little bit older. So, Project Independence Radio. So you guys would know some of the things that the Department of Community Services does. We are, they used to call us the Department of Fun. We were the Valentine's Day dances and, the Halloween dances. And of course, our most famous event, Fun Day Monday. So I was part of the crew that would be, out there on the dance floor with, Kimberly and Gia and of course, Kristina now. And I mean, imagine going to work every day. Obviously it was very hard work setting up, for all these events. It was backbreaking work, but I got to hang out with seniors and children and dance and dress up and be silly and be myself, honestly. And it was literally the best. It was the best job I ever had. I did eventually leave. I went to work directly for Supervisor John Kamen at the time, and I worked in his office as his deputy chief of staff. That was not the Department of Fun. But it was a very good job because I got to meet so many different constituency groups and community groups and civics and leaders in the community, which of course I did in community services, but this was more issue based, and I worked on all different kinds of projects. And then Judy Bosworth won, who we love. And I worked for her for a year, doing similar stuff. It was, working on events, but also coordinating with her office and community services. So I kind of sort of got to merge both roles. So that was fun. And then I went over to the Nassau County Board of Elections, where I was recruited. They were looking for somebody to do human resources, which, they were looking for somebody with managerial experience, which obviously I did in the town. And so I stepped into that role, and it was great. I loved working at the Board of Elections. I loved the people that I worked with. It was challenging, as you can imagine, especially this last year in the presidential election. But it's an incredible job. I've been very, very lucky with the government work that I've done so far. And then, fast forward to 2020, Tony Durso, who was the assemblyman, announced his retirement. And, I interviewed for the position. When Tony announced his retirement, it seemed like everybody, wanted the job, which is, says a lot for, what Tony did. And then his predecessor before, Michelle Schimmel, and before that, Tom DiNapoli. So a lot of big shoes to fill, right? And I interviewed for the position. There was several other candidates. And I was so blessed to be chosen out of some really, really great people. And then ran for office in a pandemic, which we can, also talk about. Running for office is hard. Running for office during a pandemic is tricky, to say the least, because, you're an elected official or you're a politician, right? You're running for office. How are people going to know who you are? How are they going to meet you? So it was different, but we can get into more of that. So that is sort of the, short version of, me in my government role, throughout my career. I grew up in New York. I grew up on Long Island. I'm a Long Island girl. I'm a North Shore girl. I did grow up out east, in Mount Sinai. I was born and raised there. My father passed away when I was little, 11 years old, and my siblings are much older than me. And so it was just really me and mom. Everybody else had moved out of the house at that point. And so we decided to start fresh after he passed, and we moved down to Florida. I was 12 years old when we moved, and just start fresh, start a new life down there. And let me tell you, what a great place to be a teenager in Florida. It was, sunny skies all the time. You start driving at 16 years old, which PS, a 16-year-old has no business having a full license in a car, but, or at least not this one. I got into several fender benders because, you're like hanging out with your friends and you got the music going, and then all of a sudden you're like, bumping into this and bumping into that. But yeah, no, full license at 16. I was out with my friends. We were going to the beach every day, and I mean, what a place to be a teenager. So, and then. So I was there for middle school and most of high school. So like 7th grade to 11th grade. And then we moved to Georgia my senior year. Mom was getting sick of Florida, which is okay. She missed seasons, but she wasn't quite ready to come back to New York. So we moved to Georgia, which does have seasons. And so I had my senior year there, which was very tough. And then I went to the University of Georgia, which I don't know. By the way, P.S. I haven't even had time to like hang up anything in my office, but I don't know if you can see like the little dog peeking out in the background. That is, the UGA mascot. So I went to Georgia for 4 years. I majored in political science and football. I was in my former life, I was in music, and I was in band, I was in marching band, I was in middle school band, high school band, I was in all the bands, like every band I was in. And I was in the University of Georgia Red Coat Band. I was in the drum line, and it was some of the best time of my life. So graduated. And then we moved back to New York. We moved back to New York in 2001, in July of 2001, and, started looking for work, and, and here we are. Then I got a job, and fast forward, now I'm with all you fine people.
All right. So that was a wonderful introduction, and I'm sure it's going to bring up some questions from Otto. I have a couple of questions myself, but first we have to take our first break. We're listening to 88.1 FM, WCWP.org. I'm Peter Janowsky, filling in from my very best friend, John Ryan, and we'll be right back.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Welcome back to 88.1 FM. This is WCWP Radio and WCWP.org. Once again, I'm Peter Janowsky, filling in from my very best friend, John Ryan. And we have with us today Gina Sillitti, who is Assemblywoman from the 16th District, State of New York. And she just gave us a wonderful introduction. And now I think Otto is going to bring us into social studies class, of probably for the 11th grade. And we're going to go over how government works.
Yeah, well, basically, I always like to hit this like from the basics. A lot of people may not understand, you are an assemblywoman. Well, basically, so what does that mean? Where does that fit into the scheme of things? Like in New York State, they have the multiple structure, and this is part of the legislative branch, and there's the Senate and the Assembly. So I guess my question is, how does that work as far as your vision is concerned?
Oh, sure. So So put me on the spot, Otto. I'm brand new here. So, I'll just take a step back really quick and just sort of talk about, coming, to Albany, and then I'll go to sort of the, the ins and outs of, the day to day. It's very strange, right? We're in a virtual world still. Everything is remote. So you imagine, you've seen on TV the Congress floor, and you have all the chairs. It's very similar, right? So there's a Senate chamber, and there's an Assembly chamber. So think of that as like the House of Representatives. And it's a big, beautiful, ornate room with like this rich red carpet and these beautiful chairs. It's like super fancy. When I first walked in, you feel it, right? You feel the weight of what you were just elected to do. Because you walk, and it's beautiful, it's ornate, and there's, rich history in the room. And it's the middle of the pandemic. So, you're not just, it's not a normal year. It is, it's different. This year is different. People really need help. So I walked into this room, and then they're like, okay, now you go back to your office because we're doing everything virtually. But I decided, so instead of, I could be in the district office, right? I could sit here and, and do everything on Zoom, the Brady Bunch and, screens and see everybody. But I decided that I wanted to go to Albany. Even though I may have to sit in my office, I thought it would be good to be there to, I'm brand new, right? I wanted to meet the staff. I wanted people to see my face and, like my whole body, not just like this part. And, just get to know people because I know I'm going to need them, right? I'm going to need their help, advocating for the district. So I wanted to make those personal relationships with people. So I decided to drive up to Albany. And so I did it from my office in Albany. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, this is ridiculous. I have this beautiful chamber, 10-minute walk away, which, by the way, it's far. It's all connected, this underground sort of tunnel thing, and you have to walk. But it's a bit of a walk to get there. But I'm like, I'll go in, and if there's a capacity limit, of course, as there is with everywhere. And, if the sergeant at arms says we're full, then we're full. But he didn't. I sat in, my seat, or I should say Tony's old seat, because they hadn't even moved everybody around yet, although my name was there. So that was very cool. I took pictures. I took a selfie. I sent it to my family. All the things that you would do when you're excited about something. And then I sat there, and I just was like, oh my goodness, I'm here. And, and it took, you kind of take it all in for a moment, and, and the breadth of what you're doing. And then you're like, all right, let's get to work. So basically, going to your question, Otto, is it's similar to, what you see, on TV with the federal level, right? There's, the three branches, or I should say the legislature and the governor. And so the executive branch, the legislative branch. And the Senate passes bills, the Assembly passes bills. We try to, pass the same bills. It's not always the case. A Senate will pass their version, the Assembly will pass their version, and then there has to be amendments. I am here 8 weeks at this point, and I'm still very much learning. I joke to my colleagues that there needs to be like an Albany to English dictionary. Everybody talks in acronyms. I'm like, we'll be having a conversation, we'll be having a meeting, and they'll be like, yeah, the ABC and the 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, I have literally no idea what you're talking about. And the tricky part is like, normally if we were in person, I would lean over to the person next to me and be like, oh, hey, what is blah, blah, blah? What is ABC? And they'd be like, oh, that's, yada, yada. But I can't. So I'm like flipping through books and I'm like Googling, just because I want to, stay on top of everything. And, I'm constantly taking notes, and I've done more reading in these past, 7 weeks. Oh no, God, it's March 19th. God, we're at like 10 weeks at this point. It could be a decade. I don't even know. It's been some year, you guys. So it's obviously it's a big learning curve, but I tell you, we have some incredible elected officials on both sides. They have been so nice to me, Republicans and Democrats. Especially, the Long Island folks, because they remember what it was like to be new. Only they were there with everybody else. So, they look at us newbies, which, by the way, we have the largest class ever of new people. There's 19 of us, the biggest class ever since the switch, I think, after Nixon back in the 70s, when the legislature went from Republican to Democrat. The biggest class, and 19 Democrats, but there's also a whole bunch of Republicans too. And, we're all doing it virtually, and it's hard, and we're doing our best, and we're, trying to advocate, as best as we can for the people that we serve. And one of the things somebody told me is that, because every day I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And, and there's just, honestly, there's not enough hours in the day. I'm getting home at like 8, 9 o'clock every night. And, obviously, the advice is, work hard, be in the district, work for the district. But, somebody else said to me to be yourself. So I am. And so that's what I try to do. I try to be myself, and I try to smile. I try to have a good time, and, try, not to take things always, so seriously, because it'll gets in your head sometimes, because there's people who are really, really struggling, and you want to help everybody, and you want to give money to everybody, and so you have all these people who are advocating for you, help me with this, we need money for that, and you can't, and there's just, you can't help everybody. You want to help everybody, so it kind of, it becomes overwhelming at times. But, we do the best that we can. So like yesterday, for example, it was a heavy day, and there was a lot going on, and we were running late, which PS, I've learned that the assembly is on their own time. I was literally in the chamber at 10 o'clock by myself. We were supposed to start at 10. I'm like, am I getting pumped? Where is everybody? And I was looking around. I'm like, well, I guess we're not starting anytime soon. I mean, the staff was there, whatever. So I went and I walked around because, I don't really know the building that well. I did walk around one time. I was on a phone call, and I was trying to find a quiet spot, and I locked myself out. So that was fun. So I was like, let me kind of explore. And the building is just so beautiful. Like, even like the lamps, the lamps have these beautiful bronze things, and just everything is very ornate and beautiful, and the wood carvings. I was telling my sister about it, about how intricate the wood detail is, and she was very funny. She's like, it was probably carved by Italians. I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
I have to break in for a quick second.
Sure, Peter.
John and I were in the building a couple of years ago, I think, and I was told to find the devil in the stone. I found it. Well, I mean, we found it. It wasn't easy. It was very
funny you say that.
Yeah, it was
so
interesting.
Michaelle Salage, from Elmont, when you're coming out one of the exits, it's over by the other side of they call it the $1 million staircase, the beautiful, ornate, crazy staircase. Well, at the bottom level, at the very bottom of it, you kind of go out into the hallway. You need a flashlight. It was like very complicated to find this thing. But it's like literally, so you have all these beautiful carvings along the wall, stone. And then there's this thing, maybe like the size of your eye socket, right? Of a little devil that the guy, I don't know if he was having like a weird day or he's trying to be funny, when he did this 100 years ago, right? And he carved this devil into it's like vines, like flowers, so it's like this beautiful thing, and then this little guy just peeking out at you. But yeah, so how did you find it, Peter?
I think we cheated, and we had we had a security guard at the place help us a little bit. And what was real interesting, it was done so long ago that if you get up real close, you can see the ash marks and scorches from people looking at it with matches and candles, because it was done so long ago. There was no flashlights, there was no electricity. That's how long it's been there. So it's a nice little tourist thing to do.
It is
touristy, but you're right. It's a heck of a building. My first thought when I walked into that building was it reminded me of a Harry Potter movie.
So funny that you say that. There's also like a lot of nooks and crannies, right? So like underneath the grand staircase, there is sort of like literally this dark sort of tunnel thing, and I go that way just because why not, right? And somebody said that to me. They're like, it's like being in a Harry Potter movie, like you're in sort of like what do they call that, the room of requirement?
Not really a Harry Potter fan, but all you have to do is glance at the movie and you can see the resemblance. But if anyone's ever in Albany, it's a must stop and see.
I actually went to a wedding in Albany, and the hotel that we were in, I looked out the window and could see the Capitol building. And it's a very impressive building. But there's also a lot of property around that area where you can do a lot of walking and whatnot. It's very wide open.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I can't wait till I have a couple of minutes to explore outside the building.
Yeah.
So I was just signaled that we're coming up to our second break, and so far it has been wonderful. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. This is 88.1 FM and WCWP.org.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
Welcome back to 88.1 FM, WCWP.org. This is Senior Radio for the town of North Hempstead. I'm Peter Janowsky, filling in for, once again, my very best friend, otherwise known as BAE, John Ryan. We're back with Gina Sillitti, and we finished off with a really good background of her and what's going on right now and her new experience in Albany. And I think we're going to get into a little bit more specifics right now and ask some questions.
Sure.
So like I mentioned, you're from the 16th district. You're representing the 16th district, state of New York. Where is that geographically? I know it's Fort Washington, but I'm not sure if it covers more or less than that.
Oh yeah, so it's actually pretty big. It's all in the town of North Hempstead, by the way. So we have the two peninsulas, Port Washington and Great Neck, and then we come down to Manhasset. Then there's a little bit of North New Hyde Park, Lake Success, a little North New Hyde Park. Then we have a good chunk of Herrick School District. And then there's, and some of the towns that's in that, a little bit Albertson. And then a little bit of Roslyn. I share Roslyn with Assemblyman Chuck Levine. So it's, I kind of like to say it's the Queens border to Glen Cove Road, and then to like Hillside. It's not a perfect square. So like in Roslyn, it's like almost like a pizza pie. It goes in and out like. And then I have this one weird part that like sticks out like a hand into Old Westbury. It's very strange. I don't know. At that part, I don't understand. But it's there, and so I represent like a few like one little neighborhood in Old Westbury.
You don't go south of Hillside?
Not really.
Because I'm a few blocks south of Hillside.
Yeah, so it depends. You could be in it.
In New Hyde Park, right?
Yeah, so there's a few spots that like dip down. I have a little, couple of blocks in Mineola, that's near Herrick's Road, that part of Mineola. But yeah, just a little bit south of Hillside, just a couple, trying to, give the folks that are listening and watching just kind of a general geographic idea of, oh, by the way, this is a good time to plug my office number. And I mean this very seriously. I'm brand new. Not everybody knows me. Not everybody knows that we're here, which is okay. And hopefully you will know me soon. That was one of the things too, for 1 second, when I was running for office, maybe it was because of my days working for Dave Mejias and, being such a constituent focused office. I want our office to be that way. And I want our office to be a resource for people in the community and not just on state issues, right? So sometimes, gosh, we have so many levels of government, right, in Nassau. So we have North Hempstead, we have the county, we have the villages, we have the water districts and this district and that, and blah, blah, blah. So it's not always, people don't always know who to call. So I would love if you called our office. I've been in government so long, I know everybody, right? And, and I have these relationships, and hopefully our office can, point you in the right direction. So whether it's a state issue, a town issue, county issue, whatever it is, federal issue, we have to put you in touch with, Tom Swazi. We're happy to help. So our office is, we're not doing anything in person right now, and that's okay. Hopefully soon. We are located in Port Washington. Our office number is 516-482-6966. And, happy to help, can't wait to help. And, we're here for whatever anybody needs. So what was your question? What was your question there about, so we were talking about the district and the district lines and, and the various, constituencies. And it's broad, right? We have, so many people, with all various needs. There is a misconception about Long Island, by some folks. They look at New York, they look at Long Island, they look at the North Shore, and they think, oh, all these rich people that, they're fine, they don't need any help. Well, let me tell you, they do need help. They're struggling. The pandemic has made it very hard for folks. Food insecurity, jobless, unemployment, you name it. People are hurting, and it's not just, it's everyone. And we also have a mixture of people. It's not just wealthy people. I mean, I live in the village of Manor Haven. The village of Manor Haven is a cross section of everybody. It's, immigrant workers to, government employees like me, to everything in between. Right. And that what makes, this district so special is that you have a little bit of everything, every kind of person, and it's a beautiful place.
Gina, I could visualize, like you're I can clearly see a person who will try to do what can be done to help as many people as you can help. Yeah. And I could see easily getting into overload in that kind of world. All right. And to me, always in my life, my business life, whatever, the ability to pick your spots, to prioritize, the whole process of filtering through all this different input that you get, to me becomes kind of a major skill, if you will, because you can't do it all. There's only X hours. So you're there till 10. Are you going to stay there till 2 in the morning? Right. So my point, I guess, is how do you process this in your own thinking?
Sure.
Is there a system, or does Gina have a system of her own for prioritizing?
Sure. I mean, P.S. still trying to figure it out. But I could just tell you like a typical day, right? So I have, when I'm in district, more so than when I'm in Albany, but when I'm in district, I have meetings, except for this morning, I'm with you guys for, an hour, which is lovely. I have meetings every half hour with all kinds of different groups. Now, right now we're in budget session. So oh my gosh, I was literally meeting with this group, with that group, and this and that. And, everyone is asking for more funds. Actually, no, this year they weren't really asking for more funds. They were asking to stay there. Don't cut us. It was before we got this incredible influx of money that's coming from the federal government. Thank you, by the way, Senator Schumer. New York is, the amount of money that New York has spent on this pandemic is obviously unprecedented. The amount of money our schools have spent on the pandemic is unprecedented, and unemployment and, just everything. People needed help and the government had to spend money. So our federal government is coming in and they're helping, and it's amazing. But before that, we didn't really know. So we're meeting with these constituency groups, and, normally they were like, we need an additional 10 million, we need an additional 100 million, whatever the case may be, and a lot of the folks were like, please don't cut us, please, or restore, our funding from before. There was a 20% sort of cut across the board on a lot of different agencies. And so, just please keep us the same. And so, and another thing that sways me as well is, a lot of them are, lobbyist groups or organizations, and, and you feel for the people that you're meeting with. And, one thing I was meeting with a group of young people, and they say, tell us, about what influences you and what sways you. And I meet with all kinds of people, and my biggest thing is, you have an issue and you're talking about the issue, but tell me how it affects you personally. Tell me about you and how if we got the additional funds or we put this program back in place, what will it mean to you and your family? So that's what I get too from constituents, right? So, I tell constituents, I'm very honest. I'm not going to be like, well, I'm working on this and we'll see. I'm very honest. If I don't think something's going to happen, I'll say. And it happened recently with an early retirement incentive. That I was talking to other people about it, and they were telling me I don't see it happening this year. But I got so many emails from constituents being like, "We need this. This is important for us. How can you help us?" And so, because I've gotten all this, correspondence from constituents, I'm still pushing. I'm going to keep nudging, and I'm not going to, take, the no for an answer. And I appreciated all the people that emailed me. And by the way, they wrote back and they were like, thank you for your, for your frankness and your honesty. People want to be told the truth. They don't want to be, BS'd, for lack of a better word. Right. So how do I wade through it? I look at, my constituents, and if they're, what they're telling me, and, how many letters I get, how many phone calls I get. But right now, like I said, we're on budget, and we had to put in our request letter. Like each assembly person was asked to put a letter of all their budget requests and all their, their priorities of what they'd like to see in the budget. Not so much policy, but, projects. And I honestly, it's my first year. I put everything in. I put everything that, my constituents asked. Obviously, my school districts are hurting for money, and, so that was priority. The first, I would say, page and a half, single space, really tiny, was education funding and money for our school districts, because on average, they spent $3 million. That was a number I heard a lot. $3 million of money that wasn't budgeted for to make schools safe for our children. And, I don't have to tell anybody who's listening or you guys that getting schools back open fully is going to be key to our economic recovery, right? Parents need to get back to work. especially women. We like to say, we're equal, we're progressive, but this pandemic has especially hurt women. So that's a priority for me. And then there was, district projects, some villages were in need of this and that. And there's Shore Road is, crumbling, or not, I wouldn't say crumbling, but it's, there's water, there's erosion, we got to shore up our shorelines, feasibility set, all kinds of things, anything. It was my first letter. It was go big or go home, right? So, I just wanted to, and as I mentioned to you guys before, I just want to help everybody. And how do I weed it out? I put in my asks, and, they try to fit it in as best as they can in the budget. And, we try to make it work, and we try to just do the best we can to help people, as many as we can. So that's sort of where I'm at.
But believe it or not, that was very interesting. But we're coming up on our third break. This has been fantastic so far. Really good.
Time flies.
Yeah. Once again, this is Senior Talk Radio at 88.1 FM. It's WCWP.org, and we'll be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast, and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios Podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
We're back with Senior Talk Radio on 88.1 FM or WCWP.org. I'm Peter Janowsky, once again sitting in for the irreplaceable, incomparable John Ryan, my very best friend. And we're with Gina Sillitti, who's just given us 45 minutes of a wonderful background and current situation with her new position as Assemblywoman for the 16th District in the state of New York. And I think we're going to touch upon what she might see going on in the future in this last segment. And I also would like to see maybe a couple of minutes to describe what committee you're on.
Sure, yeah. So, so let me tell you, it's, everything's, a process, right? Getting on committees, figuring out. So before I came into office, so in like December, there was all like, where am I parking? Where's my office? Where's, all these different logistical things. How do I log into the computer? Like the first week was a mess. It was fun, but it was a mess. So they give you a list of all the different committees. There's like 20 something, and you put your priorities and, 30 something. So you put your priorities in order, and I did, and I got almost all of the things that I asked for. I am on. Hopefully I don't miss anything. That'd be awkward. Election law, which is fitting for, seeing how I worked at the Board of Elections. I'm on Parks and Tourism, which is one of the ones that I requested. I thought that maybe my, background working at community services and working in events, that would be helpful. I am on, transportation. I also requested that. I thought it would be important, for Long Island. I am on local governments, which, we were talking about before. There's a bunch of different layers of government on Long Island, right? And in my district, I have, in North Hempstead, I think there's 32 villages in the town of North Hempstead. 21 of them are in the 16th Assembly District. We're like all villages, right? So that's so local governments and then economic development. economic development and job creation. I'm actually on, well, this is a great kind of segue into the future, economic development and job creation. I am on a working group now with other members of the Economic Development Committee and some others that are outside of the committee about, moving forward, bringing New York back. And what does that mean? What does that look like? So we are hoping, we need to invest in, in our small businesses, right? They're struggling. They need help. Online has kind of taken over everything. It was happening before the pandemic, and then it just kind of solidified it in the pandemic. And then our local restaurants, they're doing the best that they can. There's light at the end of the tunnel, as they say. People are getting vaccinated. Kids are going back to school more. Right now our infection rate, unfortunately, has kind of plateaued, and the smart people are trying to figure out why, and hopefully we will. But the numbers were going down, and I hope that they will continue to do so. So, what does it look like? What does the new New York look like? And and the things that we talked about are, broadband. That was a big thing that we saw. Zoom is here to stay, whether you like it or not, right? It's really made meeting with people easier. I mean, I can do back to back meetings, and so can they, right? So they can meet with more people. I can meet with more people. So Zoom is here to stay. So broadband access, expanding broadband, making sure kids have the tools that they need, right? To, God forbid we do have to go to remote, or if we do need to work from home or school from home, that parents are able to do it and the kids are able to do it in their house. Giving, like I said, money for small businesses, training, infrastructure, putting people back to work. Nothing gives folks hope like a good paying job. So good paying jobs that pay prevailing wage, that have benefits, those are the kind of things that I think Long Island needs, and that will bring Long Island back. Environmental infrastructure is also very important. We're moving, we have to move towards a more sustainable world, right? And renewables is a big part of that. And, training the jobs for the future, wind power, solar power, that's it. That's the future. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to get bigger, and those are the jobs that are going to be out there, and those are the jobs that we hope to train people for. And looking forward, some of the things that I want to do, and I said this when I was running, to be totally accessible and for people to know me, I need to be out there, right? I need to be out there in the world, whether it's virtually or in person. And listen, I am, as you guys can see, I'm a talker, right? I like to talk to people. I like to meet people. And so I want to see folks in person. So hopefully we'll get there very soon, but I want to have those town hall meetings. I want to visit the businesses. I want to, visit the organizations in person, and I want to know what your needs are. And, I'm hoping that starting maybe in the summer or late spring, the numbers will continue to go down, more people will be vaccinated, and it'd be safe. It'd be safe to, be indoors with some folks again and hear about their issues. This is good, right? But nothing beats being with somebody in person and kind of feeling their energy and, seeing what they're all about. And, and seeing what I'm all about, right? You can, I can talk, like I said, I can talk for days.
You know something? Actually, I just realized since you want to get out and reach people, before the show ends, because we have about 7 or 8 minutes left, why don't we give out your phone number again, which is 516-482-6966. This is Gina Sillitti's number that's the district office in Fort Washington, right? Correct?
Yep.
So if anybody has any questions, and she's dying for the calls to come in to help answer questions. Once again, it's 516-482-6966. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I figured you
No.
wanted to come up for some air too. So you could
Absolutely.
Otto has a question.
Yeah, on
Sure,
that
Otto.
score also, what about email or website type of thing?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. My email address is my last name, first initial. I just want to make sure I give you guys the correct website here and everything else. So let me look that up and we will get there. But meanwhile, so I want, like I said, I want people to call my office. I want folks to email me. First of all, let's do the email. Last name, first initial. So it's like Mississippi, right? All I's. SILLITTIG for Gina at nyassembly.gov. And then also if you go to, I believe it's of course my internet's not working,
No, it's nyassembly.gov. So just like the end of your email address, that's the website.
There you go, www.nyassembly.gov, and you'll find me. You just look up members, you find my face is there and my poof for all to see. For those on the radio, you can't see. I'm Italian with big poofy hair. Surprise. Again, I want to be fully accessible. I want to be fully transparent. The good, the bad, the ugly, and I want people to reach out to me and get to know me and be a resource, be a friend, and I just want to help. I love this community so much. My husband grew up here. Of course, I didn't grow up in this district, but I grew up on Long Island. I've been living here for 10 years, and I'm never going to leave. I'm here forever. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see what the future brings, what this job brings. I hope I'm here for a very long time. And, as long as I do my job, right? And I work hard for you and, keep me honest, right? If you see something you don't like, or if you disagree with me, call me. I've had, conversations with folks. I want you to vote for this. I don't think you should vote for that. I want to hear about it because I need to know how you feel, right? And, with our limited time left, I want to also talk about vaccines, if we could, because I know that's a hot topic and everybody, people are concerned and they want to make sure, a lot of constituents, our seniors are getting vaccinated, which is great. Folks are still having issues. And so we gave out that number before, please call us. Don't hesitate. We'll try to help you. We'll figure out if there's a site near you. If we hear of a pop-up, you guys have heard the word pop-up, and there's pop-ups that are happening around town. If we hear of anything, we'll let you know, right? And the rollout was tough in the beginning. We just didn't have enough doses in January, in the beginning of all this. But man, the doses are coming in fast and furious, and with Johnson & Johnson, one and done Johnson & Johnson, right? It's a game changer. And, we're seeing people, much, much more readily available. And we're going to get to everyone, even the homebound seniors. I know that that's a concern as well. It's a concern for me too. And we're making our way. We're definitely making our way. And, we're going to be able to hug again soon. That's the first thing I'm going to do when I'm fully vaccinated. Is my husband's grandmother, has been so isolated. She's 94 and I don't know if I was supposed to say her age. It's okay. I don't think she's listening. Sorry, Grandma. But, we were talking about it the other day. We literally cannot wait to be in the same room with her rather than through a window, which stinks. That's not how to, be with family through windows. So we can't wait to hug her, when it's safe to do so, because, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize her health. So as soon as it's safe, I literally can't. That's the first thing, and to eat in restaurants inside. That's the other thing. So I have so many things that I want to do. I'm going to be all over the place the second it's safe. But man, this was fun, you guys.
You know
What
what?
a day. What a morning.
I just got the signal that we're wrapping up our last segment. And, I have to say, since I'm a guest host today, I couldn't think of a better guest to have on because you were absolutely wonderful. I don't know how you did it. I think you're going to have to come up for air soon. We've learned an awful lot about you, a lot about the government and your new position. I really enjoyed it, Gina. Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome.
And great first appearance, Gina. I have to say, we're privileged to have, her debut on Project Independence Radio, and you did a great job.
My life comes full circle, right?
That's right. That's
Back
home.
Put this one in the books. It was fantastic.
Good.
So we're going to wrap this up. This is Senior Talk Radio. Once again, I'm Peter Janowsky sitting in for John Ryan, my very best friend, on 88.1 FM. And we're also on WCWP.org. And one last time, Gina's phone number, if you ever need her for anything, 516-482-6966.